Start.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. I think we'll just go ahead and give you our update from the last time, some future updates that we'll talk through. Go ahead, Steve, if you want to just.
All right, great. Hi, my name is Steve Kasanovich. I'm in charge of business strategy with Option Circle. We're very excited to give you the fall 2025 update. It's been 3 months, and our development team has been working very hard to bring you a number of various improvements and enhancements to the system with the end goal of automating your trading, making it easy to use, and hopefully improving your win rate. As I said, since our last update, we've added a number of killer features. The first one that we're going to start out with is what we call market insights. Market insights are going to give you like what's going on with the markets, what does this mean, and what should I do? And we've incorporated AI to help you understand and improve all the different scenarios which lead into backtesting. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Felix Fry, and he's going to introduce market insights. We're very excited about this. Hi,
Thanks,
Felix.
Steve. Thanks. Hey, how you doing? Thank you very much. Let me share the screen and we can get going.
Great, we can see that.
Perfect. All right, market insights. So we've spent over the last few months developing this and really making some great progress. At the heart of Option Circle is regime-based trading. So I think the first thing we want to make sure people understand is what does that mean? And then we're going to explain it further. Regime-based trading is a systematic approach where trading strategies adapt to different market regimes, distinct environments characterized by specific behaviors in price, volatility, and macro conditions. The goal is to recognize which regime the market is currently in and adjust your strategy, risk exposure, or asset allocation accordingly. So let's take just a few minutes to kind of visualize what that means. Over the last 15 years, there's been an enormous amount of data that's been pumped into the market from all different aspects, and it's becoming more accessible to everyone. With that data, you've seen a proliferation of tools that try to give you an answer or make sense of that data. And every website out there has all different types of tools, and there's probably hundreds that people use. As the market progresses, we're quickly going to just getting the answer. Everyone's getting comfortable with just getting the answer through ChatGPT, Perplexity, generative AI. Okay, and what does those answers look like? Well, the answers are giving you some sort of idea of what perhaps volatility is doing, perhaps what a MACD signal is doing, technical analysis, fundamentals, analyst upgrades, downgrades. All these are answers, if you will. Okay, we're going to call them, for right now, we're going to call them factors. Now, what does a factor mean? Well, if we take a look at a stock individually, the question we'll ask, stock's up 2.2% today, for example. The question is asked, what made it go up? Well, factors are what will explain that move, whether it was options flow, oil prices, Trump policy decisions, whether it's momentum, sector moves, currency moves, it can be anything. And the machine, with all the data that's pumping into the machine is learning what's forcing the stock higher today. So you can break that down. But we can also do it at a sector level. So you can take all the stocks within a sector and figure out what factors are moving that sector. And again, it could be all the ones we just discussed in one individual and hundreds more beyond that. After that, we can take all the sectors and figure out what's causing the market to go up. And that's what the machine is doing. And it's constantly learning and understanding what's moving the market today in the stocks, in the sectors, and in the overall market. The overall market will have also its individual factors. But now let's think about, that was today. We can do that every single day. But let's think about some regime over the last week or 3 weeks or 6 months. What's the regime saying and doing? The AI is learning what regime we're in by understanding all the factors in each day and trying to figure out where in this regime and these X number of factors are very important to what we're looking at in this regime. And then we can go back and say, well, historically, taking those factors that we think are that are important today and over this regime that we're in, we can look back historically to learn from the past for the existing regime and gain confidence in how it developed and its progression into the new regime. So how we got into this regime and how we moved out of this regime over time. Same factors in all these different areas. And now the machine is learning, well, this one looks like it's about to be ending. We might be going into this regime next. And that could help your strategies, the performance of your strategies. And that's why it matters. Through backtesting, we've learned that in the few strategies we've been testing, the AI, the machine, has been able to improve the performance by 2 to 4% annually. May not sound like a lot, but I wanted to give you a perspective of what that means over time. Over 10 years, we're talking about a 76% and 164% bump. In 15 years on a long-term strategy, 240 to 545%
Which
bump.
is significant, right, Felix?
Huge. This is a significant amount. Just 2 to 4% each year. The compounding effect is tremendous. So from a long-term perspective, an option circle is for all investors, for short-term and for long-term investors. But from a long-term perspective, this AI bump that we're getting is significant. And we continue to do back testing on that and continue to get more and more data. As time goes by, the machine gets better and better as it learns what's happening. So let's get back to the tools. That's regime-based trading. Let's get back to the tools. You might have seen a chart like this, a map like this. This is widespread across the industry. Okay.
Yeah, Felix, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think that's the point. At Option Circle, we've been looking at all different types of tools. We've looked at everything. We're in the background developing many different tools. But at the end of the day, it takes some expertise to just decipher what's coming out of this, what's coming out of the next tool or the other tool. And it becomes very confusing very quickly. Here's another example, things you might see. We have it at Option Circle, tools. What we don't want to do is get stuck in these tools. We don't want the tools to be an impediment to advancing to the answer or to get to where we want to go, which is a trade idea, essentially. How do we make money? Okay. Too much information for many people becomes a roadblock on their journey.
Yeah, we used to say that'd be like paralysis by analysis.
That's correct. That's correct. So these types of charts, maps you've seen. What we're introducing now is market insights. And market insights has multiple levels. It starts at the market level, sector levels, and then drills down to individual stock levels. Now, before going into it, I want to just tell you that this is still a demo. We're literally putting the pipes together to make sure that the data is correctly coming on board and where we want it to go. The design element is not all there yet. So just, keep in mind, this is just getting started and we're going to grow from here. But I think you'll get the picture. At the top level, you'll be able to click on these buttons. We'll have the SPY. Over here, we'll have key drivers behind the market action. There will be a chart here with some technical analysis information. Okay. You will see what's driving the market with news or with whatever this will be coming from an LLM through all the market data that we're buying. Okay. You will have an AI score, and we'll get back to that in a second, for the SPY. And this is where
Wow, that's
we
interesting.
start giving people the answers. No more tools, no more hundreds of things to look at, no more becoming an expert in a tool just to get an answer. Okay. We're going to give you these cards, and we're making these cards to give you the answer in a simple format, in a simple way. So, for example, SPY would have seasonality. There would be some technical analysis. This will be a strategy that the engine has come up with that fits in this regime well and it's performing well. And it would be sort of a recommendation, if you will, of a strategy that you can join. We have other cards here like news sentiment. These are developing. News will be positive, negative news. Unusual option activity. We're going through. There's a lot to come here. It might take 3 to 4 cards that we can get different answers from. IV highs and lows, and so on and so forth. Even these some IV
Wow. So
ranks. Go ahead.
Felix, you guys are really just analyzing all the information and then hopefully leading us with ideas or suggestions of what might be a great trading opportunity.
Exactly. So what's happening here is, let me just show you this for a second, but just to show you that this question mark here will tell you what the tiles do. Okay, it gives you a laydown of what the tiles are doing, and then this AI overlay gives you an answer on what you're seeing. It even goes further. It says, okay, this might be a little hard to look at. You know, for some people they may get it. This is low, but what does it mean? And this starts giving you that answer up front. It's an interpretation, overall summary, however you want to look at it. So each tile you'll start getting so that the answer just if it doesn't read if it doesn't give you the answer right away just by visualizing it, then you can just click on that and saying, give me the interpretation, or even as a learning tool, try to understand what it's saying and then figure out what the AI is telling you that it's interpreting. So that's that. Now to get back to your point, we will go back to the top, and yes, well, you can at any point in time you can click on Tesla, SPY, to NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, any stock here. You on the search bar above, you'll be able to type in Tesla, and on each individual name and sector, there will be a recommendation for a strategy. However, it's not just long-term strategies. This will also, in time, we're going to come up with suggestions for good trade ideas. So, for example, ahead of earnings, you're looking at this right here. You're going through the market, seasonality, and whatnot, and you see earnings drift, and it comes up with earnings coming up, NVIDIA, and it's showing some sort of drift pre and post. What might we want to do in NVIDIA? You would click on NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is going to have all the different cards and factors specifically for NVIDIA. And those
Well,
factors will, go ahead.
Felix, that is just amazing. I mean, like in the old days of trading, I used to have 10 web pages open, four
That's right.
different works to kind of pull out each one of these things. It's amazing just to have all this at your fingertips.
That's right. That's right. And so NVIDIA, when you're on NVIDIA, and I didn't use NVIDIA here, but when you're on NVIDIA, you'll be able to see everything specific to NVIDIA, which includes skew, IV, all the option metrics, technical analysis. There'll be fundamental analysis on NVIDIA, things that are popping, things that are changing. We're looking for relativity. Things that are changing in the market for NVIDIA, things that are changing in the options market for NVIDIA. And then we're going to pop up suggestions for strategies that might work in NVIDIA prior to earnings. So the score, let's go back to the score for a second. The score, we have the levels, stock, sector, market. The score takes all of that data. If you don't want to look at anything else, and you just want to look at the score is going to tell you where we think the SPY is on a scale of 1 to 100. And that by itself will have its own graph to showcase how that score has been changing over time with the market overlaid on top. And so that will be something that would be very interesting to do, to look at. But also when you put it all together, you can start coming up with your own ideas. Again, this was made for long-term thinkers who might be building, right? Because if you were building a strategy and you have some sort of, there are millions of traders out there using technicals, signals, and mainly it's technical analysis. But all of a sudden, what if I told you you're using technical analysis here, but why don't you take another lens of options analysis and fundamental data and social media data and news and pour that into your filter of this signal that you're getting? So you're taking a look at 500 stocks and you're getting signals on maybe 10. Maybe you can lower that down by actually phasing in some of this options data, social media data. We'll have news data, all these different cards that we have, and you can build them in your strategies and put that all together. After that, you can add the AI score or the AI enhancer where it can add 1 or 2 or maybe 4 percentage points. That is the magic here. It's for all users, for those looking for those one-off trade ideas by what's happening right now, to develop to those that want to develop the strategies for long-term use, and then for those investors that just want to get a sense of what the market is doing, what regime we might be in, so that they can go to the marketplace and pick their own strategies. I think with that, I'll send it over to Matthew. Matthew's going to go over some strategies, some back testing stuff, and we'll
Yeah, Felix, I think there was a question from Patrick.
sure.
But just for the group, I don't think we mentioned some of the logistics. If you have a question, I believe you should be able to post that in the webinar chat, and we can review that. We'll answer those questions as we're going along or at the end.
All right. Yeah, folks.
Was there a
please-
question? Sorry, was
Yeah.
Was
So, Patrick, are you able to post that in chat? I know your hand's up. All right, we can continue. I'm not sure
Okay.
if there might be a
We can answer any questions at the end too. All right, so yeah, as Felix said, we're gonna go look at strategies quick. We're not gonna do like we did last time, like how to go through and build everything, but we just want to kind of give a brief overview of the things that we're changing and the things that we're moving forward with here. So let me just share my screen, and it should be up. All right. All right, so when you go in now, to the marketplace, you have the trending strategies right off the bat, and you can kind of see every strategy that might be trending right now in the market. But the big thing is that we changed here is how the overview really looks, right? Like, so now you clearly see this definition of the strategy overview right when you click on one of the strategies that you might want to employ. And it's pretty simple, right? Like it's giving you exactly the strategy overview here. So this one is buy 40 deltas, the 40 delta 90-day calls when the 7 moving average crosses over the 20, and it also needs to be above the 200 unit moving average for that as well. You can see here there's going to be key points in this. So, at first you might be kind of confused. You might say, hey, is that daily? Is that 10-minute? You can have these key points in your strategy overview so that everybody knows exactly what they are. They don't have to actually go into the tree diagram to figure out what time frame it is. So as you can see down here, we have the hourly time frame, and then artificial intelligence momentum. You can put something in there like semiconductors as well. And then everything else is clearly, cleanly laid out now, where you don't have to click around and find different areas. And then we've added this performance heat map too, so that you can see it from a monthly basis of how this has performed since it's been live, and then you can even break it down to the daily if you want. So I like to keep it at monthly because I'm active, but not always day trading, so doing other things. But you also have your performance analytics now that have moved down here. We have a preset and you have a custom, so you can do presets here as well. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. So you can break that down. So over the last 6 months, you can see there's 44 trades. Performance is doing really well on this strategy. It is back-tested performance that we have on this. So we had the feeling that it would work out really well. But if you wanted to just look at like the last month, you can just click apply here. You'll see it did 4 trades, 50% win rate, and it hasn't done as well, right? Like, so you can see, the last month, you're up on it or you're down on it, but you have 270 and the worst was 157, but they've kind of net went down about $177, which isn't bad in this type of strategy. So again, you'll have all your kind of laid out areas down here, which is much cleaner than what we had before. So you'll have your best trades, your worst trades, gross profit, all the factors or data points that you might want when you're trading a system. And then let's just kind of go into the next step of this. And we want to really kind of highlight something here that shows the AI component and how this is going to be laid out and how you can use those market insights that Felix is talking about. So to begin with, we're just starting out here. We're just getting something in, but we did get something in called the advanced options metric. So this is literally the NVIDIA tree diagram that we're just looking at. So this is how the system trades. We're going to just proceed with the steps. So you could have already had models set up that are working, but you wanted to add maybe an options component to it. So we just come down here and we go in. This is brand new. It's the advanced options sentiment. And this is going to kind of show you exactly what we can do here. So let's just kind of look right here. The metric, we have options implied volatility, trading volume, open interest, put call volume ratio, open interest ratio, the vertical skew, risk reversal. So we can kind of measure these different options metrics. We're going to just do this very simple and easy here. We're going to look at implied volatility, and we're just going to say, hey, on the 50 delta, 30 days out, we don't really want to get into anything too expensive in this NVIDIA trade. We're going to use it, you can do current, rank, mean, or change. We're going to do rank on this. We're going to rank it on that 30-day period as well. And then we're just going to do less than. And then we're just going to say, we don't want to get in this when it's anything that's really above the 30th percentile on that implied volatility rank. And then if you just, you don't even have to save it. You can just let it go. So this is for people that are, if you don't have any idea what you're doing necessarily in options, or you're just learning and you're saying, okay, why am I looking to do this? Uh, so current implied volatility is relatively low compared to its own range the last 30 days, specifically in its lower 30% of that historical range. You can see it's going to give you the interpretation. It's going to give you the market context of this. It's going to say, hey, here's the different things that you can kind of do with the strategies. So it's going to lay everything out there for you, right? And it will even tell you, like low IV isn't necessarily, a reason for expansion, but there is speculation or on breakouts or trend continuation that low IV could be a good setup, right? You want to buy cheap options, not expensive options. The goal is for them to be cheap so that they either have an IV expansion, they become expensive, and you sell them to somebody else, or you get that move and IV kind of stays the same. But you don't want to have something expensive and then the prices, the premiums of the options come in on you, and you get the move in the stock, but you don't really get the move in the option that you're looking for. So it's just a nice way that you can kind of overlay this, and it's going to give you everything. So if you go to skew, you go to any of the other metrics, it's going to give you all this. So, and it'll tell you the caveats. See right here. IV can remain low. It doesn't have a directional signal. It's just telling you that you're buying options that are cheap. And then you can just save that right in there. So, you could just update this as
Hey,
IV
Matthew,
rank.
how
Yep.
many stocks can you apply this to, or is this just one, or is this many?
Yeah, so if you put this in one of your basket models, it'll apply it to all of them. And then if you put it in just like a general model itself, so like when we've went over this before, like the technical analysis page, you can just you can basically create a watch list, right, from certain metrics that you're watching for, and that model will trade that. And that will go across all of them. So like if you have this technical setup where you're using a MACD or moving average, type of crossover, and 20 of the names come through it, you can use this filter to filter out all of them. It could say, okay, well, 2 out of those 20 now meet your IV expectation, while the other ones are expensive to buy, and it would only trade those 2. So any way you want to do it, if you want to do it on a single security, you want to do it on a basket, or if you want to do it on one of those set watch lists, that like technical parameters that you set that scans literally the whole market, it will do that for you.
Right. So if I could like understand it, if I'm here, and so I could look for a stock, like say Nike, that had sold off 10, 15%, and then look for inexpensive options
Ex
theoretically.
exactly. So like,
Wow.
right, like we know like typically like after an event where maybe a stock sold off like Nike, right? Eventually the implied volatility crush happens and those implieds come in. So this would allow you to take advantage of that system. Like, okay, now it's come in, now we can trade this safely, right? We're not going to pay an extra premium on those options. So you just hit save, and you want to X that out, and you just put it in the yes path, right? So now you have that. And you would just literally hit the save portion on this, and now you could redeploy or update your model if it's actively running. Um, and that's a new feature that we're going to have. We're going to be able to add all of these different AI insights into these tree diagram models, like Felix is talking about here. So I think it's going to be really cool once we get there, and we can have these AI updates on there, and kind of helps you to trade better and build better models if you are a builder. Otherwise, for those that just want to deploy these, you're at least able to go in and, hey, check to see what this is. It's going to give you an explanation. So even if you don't know as in depth as maybe the builder had, it can tell you exactly, what he was thinking and what he was doing with that, at least that metric, as long as it's not hidden.
Yeah, and just a subtle plug to everybody that Matthew is one of the core builders for Option Circle, and he's the one who's going through and coming up with a lot of the strategies. So as he said, you can either build it or utilize one of his strategies or another one built by one of our partners.
Yeah, and actually what's really cool is this new overview. I really like it too. To be able to activate it, it's much easier now. I mean, you don't have to go into anything. You can just come up here and hit activate, right? And you can assign different agents to this model if you wanted to say you copied it. So I think it's much slicker. It's much easier for the end user to be able to do that. Yeah, exactly. Trying to build a lot of models, obviously, you're building models that work, models that fail, but yeah, we're trying to get a lot of good models out there for people to just come in and be able to use, or maybe
So,
slightly alter through some
yeah,
of these
could you
option
go back to
metrics.
the last slide
Yeah.
that you had there? That was great. So if I'm just summarizing it, that I can look to see how you've built this great model, and then I can see back testing on it, see how it's performed live, month by month, or even day by day. And then if I want to use it, I just click activate, and I'm in
Yep.
business.
Yep, you're in business. And if you want, like you said, you copy it, you take it. And the next cool thing is say you came in and you added like an IV rank or an option skew thing to it. You can go in, and this kind of segues perfectly into the next thing that we kind of want to highlight. We want to highlight this new backtest engine. It is in beta mode, so it's a work in progress. We're working kinks out, but it's working, and it's going to be a great system. So say you have that agent, there's two ways you can kind of go in there and look at it. You can go in and go right over here to the back test, and all you do is hit this back test, and you'd be able to run a new back test on here if you wanted. But another easier way is just going into this back test engine. So if you click on here, you get into this. And then you have this overview and you have this history, right? So you can go through all your different back tests. You have a certain amount depending on your subscriber per month, but you can kind of go through here and run a bunch of different back tests. You can pull people's models that are open to the public, add your own things to them if you want. You can look at their back tests. So there's a variety of ways to look at this. Let's just kind of look at it quickly. We're just going to pull one up super quick here. Bloom Energy here. We can look at view these details. I believe on Bloom Energy. Yep. So this is a new one. We just built this not that long ago. If you didn't see our video actually on YouTube about Bloom Energy, I think it's definitely one you want to go out there. We have a lot of good ones out there on Lumen Technology and on AI CapEx as well, which we have a model set up for. But you should definitely go out there and check out those YouTube videos. Also, it will, Felix has done a great job out there on YouTube teaching people how to get started on this platform as well. So between all the great investment ideas and that we're putting out there and how to build this and how to use the platform, I think it'd be very beneficial for anybody that is coming on board to go out there and just check it out. It's easy to walk through. But as you can see on these backtest parameters, it tells you exactly. So you wanted a $5,000 initial investment. You have your time frame, your completion time here. When we did it, we had 2 total trades in this backtest, and it'll tell you the average P&L. And give you the largest losing trade, largest winning trade, and the average win-loss percentage, right? So you can see you'll get your performance chart down here, and we are doing some updating on these charts, and they're coming out a little bit nicer here with these better P&L lines, and then we have trade breakdowns. So
Hey, Matthew, what sort of duration do you usually do for a back test, or like what do I do?
yeah,
3
that's
months?
that's a great question. So it depends on really on how you're going to look at the strategy that you're going to apply. If you're looking at it for a certain regime, which is hoping that that's the AI insights, we're going to be able to deploy that at some point so that people can say, okay, this model doesn't work there in this regime. But for right now, if you're saying, okay, we're very extended, we want to put some hedging strategies on, you might want to just like look to do like a back test over a longer period of time because we've been in this big bull market. We want to see how that maybe performed, when we were getting some volatility back in April or back in the previous year. But if you're looking at like scalping strategies, or very short-term strategies, right? Like you're taking, a day or two trades, you really only need to go back anywhere from 1 month to 3 months to see if that strategy is working in this environment. So it depends on the strategy that you're running, and the time frame that you're looking to be trading is how I would say it. But we do have it set up for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year, I believe. And then I think we are going to be deploying some longer term back tests as well. But yeah, so that's, kind of new what we have here, going into, the strategies. I think it's really cool that you can now build out your system or copy somebody's trade, system that they've already built for you, that they've released to the public. And now you can add your own flavor to it and then just make sure that it still works, right? Like, you don't want to add something and then all of a sudden it totally upends the strategy that was working, and now you have a losing strategy. You want to be able to add on to this. That is our update here from the backtest engine and the strategies. I think we're moving in a great way, and I think it's only going to get better once we start adding a lot of these AI insights into this, where we can say, okay, this model is not going to be working really well in this regime. We can shut this strategy down temporarily, and when it works better, the regime will tell you, hey, this model is going to work again, and you can deploy it. On to you, Sanjay.
Oh, that's really exciting, Matthew.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the beauty of that, I think, is with the regime is that you can trade options in any environment, right? So it
Exactly.
wouldn't matter if it's a flat market, up market, or down market. I think we'll be using all this data to provide those insights to get you in the right strategies. So yeah, I'll cover some of the stuff that Matthew talked about. I think a lot of the features that Felix and Matthew just went over were some of the advanced features, but we are doing a lot more to onboard some of the novice users. So that's what I wanted to cover as far as like what we're doing to improve the overall experience. Let me share my desktop. All right, you guys can see my desktop, right? Felix?
Yes, now we
All
can.
right, sounds good. So yeah, I'm not sure if folks have had a chance to look at our page recently, but we did update it with community here, which goes to our Discord channel. So it's a great way to ask some questions, interact with others. If you haven't gotten there yet, feel free to do. It's only going to get better. We're going to start providing more insights as far as stuff that's coming from our market insights and our strategy engine. But our whole thing is really like we don't want to be tied to computer, right? I mean, as far as some of the automation features, most of us rather be on a beach and having these automated strategies working for us. And so that's really our goal. But again, to get us onboarded and get you acclimated to what we're doing, that community is a great spot to ask questions or even exchange ideas and things like that. So you can go here on the community section. The other page we did update recently is media and insights, and that's what Matthew was highlighting earlier as far as some of the articles and news posts that we're coming up with. Expert insights, there's a lot of good content here. Felix and Matthew have been working on this content here. And as you can see, some of the highlights of the recent winners, Lumen, for example, and BE, I'm not sure, Felix, you want to highlight. I think they're up like 30% or so from
Yeah,
what
we got a little lucky. The Lumen and BE both doubled in about a month, about 6 weeks
Yeah,
from
and
on the videos.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get kind of informed about what's happening in the industry, what's happening in the space, what's moving out there. So really the concept is right, taking an idea and using our platform to automate that idea so that you don't have to make those emotional mistakes where you're right chasing the high, selling the low. You can take advantage of your thesis, and that's kind of like the goal that Felix has kind of outlined here in these articles. Anything else you want to touch on, Felix, on that part that I might have missed?
No, that's great.
Yeah, so these are the articles, and again, I think Matthew has mentioned there's also videos to go along with that. So, I'll let you know as far as like what we've done on the YouTube side. You can go to our YouTube channel. We do have this stream of videos as far as that helps you get understanding of how to get started in our platform. And it's not only on YouTube, but we also have it inside the platform. So as you can see from my screen here.
Hey, Sancho, how'd you get to those videos on the platform?
Okay, so this one, let me just back up here. So you can go to Option Circle, assuming you're registered, you come into our platform. I'm already registered. Getting started is actually refreshed to make it more simple. Before
Oh, wow.
we had an onboarding wizard before, but we took a step back and said, hey, look, we're presenting something new here for customers, which is automation. Everybody's not used to having software doing trading for them. So we took a step back and said, okay, let's start from the basics. We give you a little bit of introduction, how to connect your broker. Again, we're broker agnostic. We plug into brokers. So how do you do that? How do you set up to those brokers? And then once you're set up, right, how do you license those strategies and agents? And that's where you go into marketplace. We've talked about marketplace in the past. We also have videos about marketplace. And that's where you can go and find strategies that are pre-built that you can easily deploy. So for those novice users that don't want to go into all that options data or build your own, we have a marketplace that allows you to easily deploy those strategies. And again, you can, as Matthew highlighted, you can go to the strategy page, see how it works. You can do some back tests. You can get used to whatever the strategy is. You can also paper trade it before you deploy it live. And so that's what you'll learn in some of these videos. And again, that's 3 is the marketplace, 4 is how you deploy that to your broker. And then 5 is just talking at a high level about your portfolio and what you can do. And again, this is all automation, but you're in control. We show you that, you always have the software is doing the execution, but if you wanted to do something, make some changes manually or discretionally, you can easily do that as well. So we touch on that as well. So I think those were the key pieces that we wanted to highlight here. The other thing is we're constantly making updates now. We're taking the feedback, we're incorporating into the product. We've come out with some new cool features, but nothing's perfect. We're still learning from user experiences. So any feedback that you might have, any users might have, feel free to post it, send us an email, send us in Discord as well. We're taking your feedback, we're incorporating it into the product, or if you're just still onboarding, still confused, feel free to reach out. We can have some one-on-one sessions. We can set you up with Matthew and he can help you talk through some of the details about how those strategies work. And maybe if you have your own strategies, you want to build your own, we can help you with that as well. So
Yeah, that's fantastic, Sancho. And one thing that we want to add is that for everybody who attended the webinar today, if you'd like a month off, please email us at support@optioncircle.com. We'll gladly get you off with a little free session to get going.
yeah, and
So,
then the last piece, I don't know if you were going to touch on this, Steve, or not, but we are doing our last day of crowdfunding, right? When we first started this, we were building a product for ourselves. We all participate in the markets. We're all active. Steve on the trader side, Felix working at hedge funds, Matthew CMT, so he has plenty of experience as well. And we built this platform for us, and we want you to participate in this growth trajectory. We're not like your traditional brokers. We're looking at the future of how future of trading is, and we believe it's more AI. And the software really doing the heavy lifting, and that's what we're building.
that's
More intelligence behind your trading ideas, and that's kind of like where we're at and what we're building. And we want you to participate in this growth story. So
yeah. Thanks, Sancho. So we dropped in. It's startengine.com offering /option circle. We posted it to the chat. If you have any questions, again, you can reach out to us, support at optioncircle.com. We do have 1 day left. We raised over $450,000 or $400,000. Very excited. It's gone well. So we thank you for attending.
I think,
We want
Steve,
to-
sorry, real quick. I think we had some questions. I want to make sure we answer those. I don't know if you were going to wrap up, but let me stop sharing for a second and just see what the question. It was a pretty simple question, I believe. Will there be a card that will discuss different option trading strategies to deploy? Example, NVDA would be a bull put or bear call strategy based on the different market parameters. So I think, Felix, you touched on that. You could, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean that is where we're heading. It's you know, automated trading is there's many different facets of automated trading. You know, there's the actual trading, and then there's the risk management of the trade, and we're trying to make it easy for investors to and traders to get on board with the whole idea that a computer can do it better. You know, the NVIDIA example really lends itself to a what's the idea right now? What can I do right now to make some money? What is the best trade? And ultimately, we want to give that answer. We have so much data and so much input. Um, there are better ways to do things than one might think. You know, if you're thinking about just buying a call option on NVIDIA, we're giving you our AI generated score, plus we're giving you these cards, and we're putting it all together to say, and it will be shown. We'll give you a strategy if you're looking for a bull case in NVIDIA. We'll show you the best way to play NVIDIA on a bull case, whether it's a call spread. If you can sell options, we would have different ways of doing that. Like maybe there's no buying option right now that is best because the IV is too elevated or the market is just way too expensive. And so if you have the cash, there might be a buy right strategy, might be the best answer. But we'll come up, the AI will come up, and we're pushing the AI to get a bull strategy, bear strategy, and like a selling strategy or neutral strategy as well. So that's the idea.
Yeah, so I feel like this is the answer to the question. So yes, we do anticipate having cards with each one of those. Our idea ultimately is to have bullish, bearish, and neutral strategy for every different scenario in which Felix, Matthew, and the team are all put together.
Yeah, that'll come out through our strategy engine, right? That we're building, and that will showcase the right strategies that align with maybe your thesis or what's happening in the market.
Great. Well, look, everybody, unless we have any other questions, Sanjel, I want to thank everybody for their time. Option Circle is here to help you analyze, automate, and execute your trades. So let's trade. Let's trade it up. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.